Good evening, seniors. Tonight I'm just posting from my house. I just got word that we will not be in school tomorrow due to the power outage. So I didn't want to hold people up who are ready for next steps. Those of you that do have power and or are going somewhere where you can work tomorrow and don't want to be, feeling pressured next week might want to move on. The activity I was planning for in class tomorrow when we met, you could easily do on your own. And some of you might prefer to do it on your own as opposed to doing it with me Monday. I'm more than happy to do it with a small group of you on Monday, but if some of you just want to move ahead and stay on our schedule for getting this paper done, you could easily do this without me. So I'm going to explain the activity now, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the paper. I'm going to be posting directions for this activity as well. I'm just explaining them verbally in addition. The activity was pretty simple. I was going to have you take 15 strips of just blank white paper, and on one side of the piece of paper you would write down the name of an author of an article that you're planning to use, or a chapter of a book, or magazine article. On the of your 15 sources, like you would literally pull up your bibliography that you're going to be handing in. You'd pull up your bibliography, pull up your 10, 15, most of you have 15 sources, and that's what you would have 15 slips of paper for. On the other side, one side you write the author's name. On the other side, you write the big idea, the main idea, the big takeaway of that article. Maybe there's more than one, but if you can, just write one. You could easily do this as a bubble map, put your research question in the middle and do 15 bubbles. So each one is like, what is this main idea of this study? What is the main finding or, the biggest takeaway for you from the study? Then once you have them all spread out, all these 15 slips of paper, I wanted you to start to group them by theme or pattern. I think most of you will probably end up organizing your paper that way. The body of the paper. So if you take off the introduction abstract and you take off the last section, which is discussion and conclusion, the middle section is probably your biggest section, and that might be close to 10 pages, double spaced. That middle body is literally what you read. It's all the studies that you've read, and you'll be pulling it all together. So how do you organize 10 pages of the research that you've done? The idea of the activity is to start to see the patterns that emerged in what you've read. Maybe you'll notice, okay, these 2 or these 3 articles all have to do with the genetic factors of this disease, or what we know about the causes of this problem, or the economic factors that are feeding into this issue, or the social issues that have led, or the causes, the history. So you'll start to see maybe patterns emerge, and that would help you sort of chunk this 10-page middle section into how you would organize it. I'm also going to be posting for you a few samples of literature reviews. I'm going to give you a few sample literature reviews. We could read them together next week, but if you're eager and you're anxious and you just want to see one, I would certainly recommend maybe reading one of the samples that I post. Let's see. So the activity, if you decide to do it with the slips of paper, the big idea is that when you write them all out and you start to see the major themes emerge, you might see, a bunch of these are treatments. A bunch of these focus more on societal factors that are, causing this problem, whatever your topic may be. I'm sure that you've already started to think about some of these, but for those of you that have no idea how to organize it, this might help. Some of you may not even need it, but it was an activity that would be aimed for you to think about ways to organize it. This activity would probably lead you to organizing by theme. However, there are other ways you could organize it. Studies that looked at young adults, studies that looked at adults or, children versus, there are other ways you could do it. You could do it even chronologically. Let's say you identified that, you're studying the causes of anxiety and you are going to have a whole section about treatments for anxiety, for instance. Let's say you read 4 articles all about different treatments for anxiety. You might even have to look at medical treatments, like using the use of medicine as a treatment, or you might divide it and do therapeutic treatments. I'm not being very clear, sorry. Even within those sections, sometimes people have several paragraphs. Usually each section is several paragraphs. So it might, one section might be a few pages, but they might organize that chronologically. For instance, if one of the studies was from 2009 and one from 2012 and one from 2015, you might even organize it within that section chronologically. When you start to look at the samples that I give you, if you read 1 or 2 of them, then it's going to be really clear. One thing I want to mention, the middle of the paper, we talked about, how do you write something like this? Reading the sample is going to help. Literally, it's more or less all the paraphrasing and the summary. Most of your analysis is going to be part of that discussion section or your conclusion. The middle section of your paper will have a little bit. We'll talk about that. There'll be a little bit of you saying, thus it's reasonable to conclude. But most of it literally is going to be sort of a summation and synthesis of what you read. This is what this study was. This is the implications. Someone else who agrees with this study did a similar study. It was, slightly different type of study. This is how they did it. You might have another study that disagrees, but most of that middle section is going to be your summary, your paraphrasing, and your citing all of these sources. It's the review of the studies that you looked at. That's my best way to give a short explanation. I'm sorry for the rambling video. I didn't plan it very well. I just got word about the power outage and school being off tomorrow. We certainly are going to move ahead on the writing next week. Those of you that have access over the weekend might want to do a couple of things. If you have no idea how to organize the paper, you could do a map and see if you can figure out what the sections of your paper should be. Do a little web or do the strips of paper the way I'm suggesting. I'm going to post directions for that. The second thing you might want to do is read 1 or both of the samples that I'm going to be posting. If you feel comfortable and you want to start writing, the part we're going to write first is the body, which is the summary of what you've read. So you can hear my dog in the background. He wants me to let him out. Minor, you want to say hello? Oh, can I get you in there? Anyway, I hope you're all safe. I just wanted to make sure that anyone who wants to go forward this weekend has the ability to do so. And I hope you are enjoying, I hope you have power and that you're, able to, enjoy your downtime. All right. See you all soon. Thanks. And I think I said this already, but annotated bibliographies you can give me Monday. Print it out. That'll be fine. Take care and see you next week. All right. Bye.